Hello, fellow residents of Tamriel. It is the Beeve, and we are back again. And today we are going to be going over a Magicka sorc that'll work with Update 43 and 44. The Update 44 that is coming seems to be more focused around PvP, which that's good. Those people needed something. They I don't know if what they got was, worth all of what they have been waiting for. To be honest with you, but I'm not a PvPer. I don't know. But with that being said, I do see a lot of Magicka sorcs that are on YouTube and other platforms or whatnot that are using like two-hand maelstrom weapons, or using daggers, or using rapid strikes, and those builds hit hard. They really do. But to me, it does not feel like a Magicka sorc. It feels more like a stamina sorc that we just piled a bunch of Magicka onto. This build that I've created today is more of your traditional Magicka sorc using double destro staffs. Now, it's not going to hit as hard as like the ones that you're seeing that are using the two hand and the daggers. That is just meta right now, and I don't know if that'll ever shift anytime soon, to be honest with you. If you're cool with that and you're just chasing those really high numbers, by all means do that. That's going to give you the best opportunity to clear content with your particular group. But if you're anything like me, you're always looking for something a little bit different, maybe something that's a little more traditional, and that's what I've built today with this double destro staff Magicka sorc here. So the class that we are running with this Magicka sorc is High Elf. Dark Elf is a very good option with this as well. But since I was going more traditional when it comes to the double destro staff, I went ahead and went with the High Elf. I do like the Maximum Magicka. I like the weapon and spell damage it provides. And the spell recharge is a nice little tool to help us sustain as well. Plus, you get a little bit of damage resistance when you're channeling or you have do anything with a channel or cast time. You get a little bit of, it's basically like minor protection. But we're not doing really anything that does that, so we're not getting that benefit from it. So when we look at our character sheet, we got 29,600 maximum magicka, 2,400 maximum health, or 24,000 maximum health, and 14,000 maximum stamina. We do have our magic recovery at about 1,070, which is kind of low. We are using medium armor on the body, so that is why our magicka recovery is so low. But it's really not gonna play too much into a factor. I'm going to show you how this rotation works, and it's very, I don't want to call it simple, but it is very similar like what you've seen on this before, where we're spam heavy on things. We throw down some dots, we spam. We throw down some dots, we spam. So it's got the same concept behind it as most of the other builds that I have, trying to make it as static and easy as possible. But with the Magicka sorc, there's a lot of other things that you have to be paying attention to and reapplying, and your crystal fragments proccing. So this isn't a rotation that is going to be the simplest by any means, but if you break it down and really pay attention to it, it's not too bad. We do have all 64 points of our attributes into our magicka. Let's go ahead and buff up here for a second. When we are buffed up, we're looking at 5790 in spell damage, 52.6 in spell critical chance. Penetration is not very high. Spell and physical resistances set at 19,000 and 18,000. So we are definitely helping mitigate damage. Plus our crystal fragments are going to heal us when we proc them off. So we're going to make ourselves not a complete nuisance for our healers to keep alive. We are using the Thief Mundus Stone for our weapon and spell critical rating. And this particular build I have made work with a Witch Mother's Potent Brew, which is a purple food that is very simple to make. And you can actually get this right now during the Witches Festival. If you don't already have it, if you're new to the game, you can get this from doing your dailies and whatnot for your Witches Festival event, which is actually my favorite event in this game. I've been partial to Halloween my whole life, so this is my favorite event during the whole year. Our inventory, we got a couple different setups that work with this. We're going to go over the one that I'm doing, and then I'm going to tell you how you can change it. I'm going to show you the parse numbers with everything changed and whatnot, but we're not going to sit here and go over multiple different parses. I'm going to show you the one that I like the best here, and then I'm going to give you different options and show you how much damage they've done with the same rotation. So just to keep things not lasting forever, not taking forever. Our weapon and jewelry that we're using the Perfected Lightning Staff of Besides Mania. This is on our main hand. And we have this with a flame damage glyph and precise for the extra weapon and spell critical. The Besides is out of Rock Grove, I do believe. And it adds a line of weapon and spell damage, a line of Slayer, a line of critical chance. If you have the perfected version, it adds another 129 weapon and spell damage. And then based upon your missing magicka, you do extra damage. So this is, you don't necessarily have to play a magicka mini game, and honestly with the purple food and whatnot, it can be a little bit tough to actually play that little magicka mini game because our recovery isn't as high as we would like it to be. So we're going to be low a good bit of the time, and I'm going to show you how to mix in a heavy attack every now and again, maybe 2 or 3 heavy attacks throughout the parse just to keep your magicka up. We are using a lightning staff because now the lightning staff is, instead of buffing the damage over time abilities like it used to, it now buffs the single target damage. So we are using the lightning staff on the front bar because this is where we are doing all of our direct damage. So this buffs our crystal fragments and whatnot, and the explosion that comes off of our Daedric Prey. So like I said, jewelry also is perfected. If you don't have the perfected, you'll just lose out on the 129 weapon spell damage. It's not a game breaker. Yeah, you'll see a little bit of a difference, but it's not a game breaker by any means. We have all of our pieces in Bloodthirsty, and all of them with weapon and spell damage enchantments. And I got a stamina recovery on here accidentally instead of a magicka, but it's 10. It's not going to make a big deal. Our back bar weapon, we are using the Maelstrom's Perfected Inferno staff. We use Inferno because the burning, excuse me, the burning status effect that you can get from it, and what am I trying to say here? How am I trying to explain this? Sorry, my brain just went haywire. I talk about all this stuff off the top of my head. I don't script myself in any way, shape, or form. But this does proc the burning status effect. Other things that we have, like our flame damage glyph, procs the burning status effect. So we're putting down our wall of elements with the Inferno staff, and when you put down this wall, burning enemies take 10% more damage from this ability. So it does 10% more damage if that burning status effect is active, which is going to be active a lot. So we're getting more damage out of that for that reason. The Maelstrom's Perfected Inferno staff you can find in the Maelstrom Arena. Get the perfected version for doing it on vet, the non-perfected version for doing it on normal. The only difference is 1190 offensive penetration, and just like the Maelstrom two-hand, it doesn't matter. That 1190 penetration doesn't mean anything, especially on the Trial Atronach where you're already at penetration cap regardless. For the longer you're on that back bar, just applying dots, you're not going to see a huge difference even in content with that extra 1190 offensive penetration. Our monster helm, we are using the Zon. This is a monster helm that can be acquired from completing veteran scale color peak. And then the shoulders are from the Undaunted Enclave, the orc undaunted lady that gives all the DLC dungeon quests. That's where you can get the coffer to get the shoulders. We are using one light and one medium on those. We didn't go with any heavy armor on the head or shoulders. And then we are going with 5 medium on the body as well. The Perfected Reliquins is what we're using. This is a medium armor set out of the Cloud Rest trial. Once again, you do not need the perfected version of this. All you're missing out on is an extra 1096 maximum stamina, which with this build doesn't matter. All these pieces are in divines on the body, and all of them have maximum magicka enchantments on them. We are using medium armor for the medium armor passive. Critical damage done and healing done by 2%. This gives, wearing 6 pieces gives us another 12% critical damage. And we get another 12% weapon and spell damage. The medium armor is pretty overpowered, so we stay away from light armor. Now, because of that, we're not getting magic or recovery like we normally would, because wearing light armor is where you get your magic or recovery. But we'll be good with on our magic or recovery, I promise you. We lose out on spell, weapon and spell critical rating by not having armor on, but when it comes down to it, like if you have 6 of these on, you're at another 1200, which is what, 6% or something like that. It's not a huge trade off. It's the medium armor is definitely performing better right now than the light armor. Light armor is going to be more for like your healers for their critical heals that they'll be trying to get, and for the magic or recovery that they're going to need from healing so much. Now with these sets, there is a couple different ways that you could do this. Like right now, I have the Reliquins, and I'm pairing it with the Besize Mania. You can take off the Besize, and you can go with Whirl of Depths. This performs very well also. You can take off the Reliquins and use Highland Sentinel. This is the craftable set from the Gold Road chapter that just adds a bunch of critical and then stacks more critical on top of it. You know, wearing this with this build gives you about an 85% critical strike. Or no, is it 85? I think it's 75% critical strike rating. So, I mean, you crit a lot with it. It does require you to hold still, where Reliquins just requires you to light attack. There is also, I messed around with like Cioria here, you know, just to have a light armor on and, you know, see what it would do. It still performed a little above 100k, but it was just, I don't know, it didn't feel right. I really had to push things for the 100k on that. Our champion tree, green tree, you can have set up however you like. Red tree, I would suggest at least the boundless vitality for the health, and making sure your hero's vigor is filled in for your health here as well. And I do have points in rejuvenation to give myself the the stamina, health, and magicka and stamina recovery. I do use fortified for more armor, and right now I just have celerity on just for more movement speed. If you're in content where you're killing a lot of trash ads and whatnot, you can always go with siphoning spells to give yourself. It'll end up giving you 1,500 magicka per enemy you kill, so it helps with your sustain, especially if you're running solo stuff. Blue tree, obviously everything, all your constellations that don't need to be slotted, you want to fill in, like your blessed, your eldritch insight, your timeless discipline, your precision, and in your starving death here, you got quick recovery, hardy, elemental aegis, and preparation. Those are all nice damage reduction constellations. In your extended might over here, piercing, flawless ritual, war mage, battle mastery, and mighty. These are all just things that buff up the amount of damage that you do with physical and magical damage. So having all those filled in is great. You do first want to focus on your wrathful strikes filled in and slotted, deadly aim, and master at arms. And right now, to get to the 125% cap on the critical strike damage, I am running fighting finesse. If you're in a group that's able to provide you with that to get you to that point, then you can trade this out for untamed aggression. You could trade it out for weapons expert or exploiter, because we do set things off balance with our lightning staff. So those are options if you're getting to that 125 without the fighting finesse. Our skills, we are using blockade of fire. Now, normally people would go with the unstable wall of fire with this. I've went with the blockade just for the extra duration on it. I don't get the explosion at the end of this like you do with the unstable wall, but I get another 5 seconds of duration on it, which leaves me enough time to stay on that back bar and do more of the spam more abilities and get more damage that way. You can go with the unstable wall here if you wanted to. It would just cause you to bar swap more often, plain and simple. We've gone with Hurricane instead of Lightning form. I like Hurricane a little bit better than Lightning form. It gives you minor expedition the whole time it's up. It gives you your physical and spell resistance, where the Lightning form will still give you the physical and spell resistance, and you'll get major expedition, but it's only for 4 seconds, where here we get minor expedition for all 20 seconds that this is up. Plus, it does physical damage every 2 seconds, and that damage increases up to 120% more damage and up to 9 meters in size. So it covers more area and does more damage than the lightning form does. We are using Barb Trap. This is it's a bleed damage up front, it's a bleed damage over time, and gives us minor force for our critical strike damage. If you wanted to, I've went with this for the hemorrhaging status effect that it applies. If you wanted to run lightweight trap here, which you can throw at a distance, you can do that. Or if you wanted to run the channeled acceleration from the Sigic line to give you your minor force, you can do that as well. Just in the sense of wanting to get as much damage as possible, I've went with the Barb Trap just because it's going to give me that extra bleed damage up front over time and the hemorrhaging status effect every now and again. We are using Summon Volatile Familiar. We're going to be activating him every time his ability falls off. We're going to be reactivating him. He is a very heavy hitting part of this build. Twilight Tormentor is going to be more passive for us. We're going to activate him at the beginning of the fight, the very first rotation before we start the fight. And then after that, we're not going to. The trade off, the difference in the amount of damage he does, activating him every time up to the 50% health that he, until the boss is at 50% health, is not worth the amount of magicka that it costs. The difference in the damage is minimal, to be completely honest. I have power overload on the back bar. This is a flex spot. You can kind of put whatever here that you would like. On our front bar, we are using Summon Charged Atronach. This guy is a beast. He just hits like a truck. And he also provides a synergy that provides minor or major berserk for anyone who synergizes with him for 10 seconds. So this is going to help one of your fellow dungeon or trial runners out when they activate him or when they synergize with him. We are using Elemental Weapon. This is a weapon ability from the Sigic Order. This is pretty old school right here, but it works so good. This does cause you to have to light attack. And so this is going to be a build because of the Reliquins and because of this ability. You're going to have to be good at light attack weaving. If you're not good at light attack weaving, then you can, take the Reliquins off and not use this ability and just kind of do like a crystal fragment spam if you wanted to. But what I'm showing you is definitely a better damage producer. But this does good damage, and the ability to apply burning, chilled, and concussed. Now, our Zon is applying burning with every tick it goes off. Our fiery weapon enchantment is going to help us proc burning. This is going to help us proc burning. So this really gives that maelstrom, that blockade, extra damage from that burning status effect going off. Concussion, that's a nice, it'll be a nice damage dealer for us as well. Chilled is just, it's going to do okay, but it's not going to do nearly as good as the burning and the concussed, because now the concussing status effect has, damage ticks to it. And it with this build, it does a lot. So you'll see that in the combat report. We are using Daedric Prey. This is to buff all of our pets to do more damage. Then after 6 seconds, it will explode and do a lot of damage. But 45% more damage from your pets or to anything this is applied to is huge. Now, this is an ability that you do want to let fall off. You don't want to reapply this before that 6 second runoff, because if so, then you don't get the explosion damage from the ability expiring. And you'll see it hit for like 50, 60K when it crits. It's really worth letting it pop. Crystal fragments. This is the Daedric Prey is a priority to keep up when it falls off, and crystal fragments is a priority that when it procs, we're hitting that, because this is a nice damage. This is a nice damage producing ability right here. This thing will hit like a truck. And it also is, anytime you cast this, it is reducing the cost of your next ability cast by 10%. And while it's slotted, you have the ability for it to proc an instant condition rather than a channeled condition, which does 66% more damage and costs half the price. So when we're only using this when this procs. Same thing as before, both pets. The rotation, when I go into a fight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate when I start the fight, I'm going to activate my familiar, I'm going to activate my tormentor, and then after that I'm leaving the tormentor alone. I'm never activating it again. But activate volatile familiar, activate tormentor. We're going to bar swap, and we're going to light attack blockade, light attack hurricane, light attack barb trap, bar swap, and then we're going to light attack Daedric Prey, and then we're going to light attack spam elemental weapon, We're going to hit our crystal fragments whenever they are procced, and we're going to reapply Daedric Prey after it pops. So we're just spamming Elemental Weapon, and anytime we get a Crystal Fragment proc, we hit it. Anytime Daedric Prey completely falls off, we reapply it. It's pretty simple in that aspect, and we see our Blockade of Fire with about a second or less to go before it falls completely off. We're going to activate our Volatile Familiar, we're going to bar swap, and then just start over. So it's the concept behind the rotation is very simple, but it can become dynamic because you may be having to, you may get a lot of Crystal Fragment procs. You may not get hardly any Crystal Fragment procs. It's just you're the luck of the draw in that situation. But once again, activate both pets. Light attack blockade, light attack hurricane, light attack barb trap, bar swap. Light attack Daedric Prey, and then light attack spam elemental weapon, hitting our crystal fragments when they proc, hitting our Daedric Prey, reapplying our Daedric Prey when it falls off, and with a second or so left in the blockade on the back bar, we're going to reactivate familiar, bar swap, and start all over. So pretty simple stuff, honestly. It's just, it can become dynamic from the sense of, the crystal fragment procs can happen a lot or not at all. We are using weapon and spell power pots. I did say in the intro here that we were going to be, every now and again you will see me, and I'll call it out when I do, I will mix in a heavy attack just to regain a little bit of magicka. The heavy attack we'll be doing on the front bar with the lightning staff, so it's still going to do decent damage. We're not going to get a drop off on damage when we do it, and it's going to, like I said, help us sustain magicka. You can definitely go with like Lava Foot, or not Lava Foot, that's the stamina, the Ghastly Eyeball for max magicka and max magicka recovery, and then you would never have to heavy attack with this build at all. You could go with the Clockwork Citrus Fillet. It'll give you a little bit more health, a little bit more magicka, and a tad bit more recovery. I still think you'll end up having to heavy attack with it, honestly, and it's very expensive. You will get a little bit of health recovery out of it, I'm not mistaken, but I don't think that's going to be worth it for the price that you have to pay for the materials or the time you have to farm the materials to make it. So the Witch Mother's Potent Brew works great with this. You might have to mix in a heavy attack 2 or 3 times during the whole parse, but you're not going to get a damage fall off because that heavy attack coming off that lightning staff is going to do good enough damage to really not interrupt the whole bunch of missed damage from heavy attacking. Now, like I said, if you wanted to use the Ghastly Eyeball, you could do that and not have a problem with sustain. You'll never have to heavy attack, more than likely, but you will run into having less health than I have right now because you'll get no health benefit from the Ghastly Eyeball. So if you're comfortable with running with lower health and you got a group that can, you got healers in your group that can keep you up, by all means go with what you want to go with. But the purpose of these videos is to make builds that are hitting good and use, foods that aren't expensive as hell to make, but still has, good benefits to them. All right, to not bore you with any more details, let's go ahead and get into the parses here. I'm going to do one parse here with the Reliquins and Besides. You're going to see me not really worry about trying to play that Magicka mini game in the beginning, and I'm just going to let the Magicka drop down on its own, and we'll stay pretty low throughout most of the fight and be getting good results from that. And then we'll go over the combat metrics of a few other gear setups as well. So let's go ahead and activate our pets and start our rotation. Always make sure we're hitting that hitting our Storm Atronach when he is available to be hit. He is a really heavy damaging ultimate. Yes, it is going to be hard to see your character, so you want to make sure you know what you're doing with this build. You have to trust the fact that you're where you need to be and that your abilities are firing off the way that they're supposed to be firing off. I'm going to throw a heavy attack in here. Throw another heavy attack in. Another heavy attack. Now, unfortunately, that was a little low end right there. I've seen this hit higher. I'll actually show you here in a second. That one right there didn't seem like my Crystal Fragment procs came off very well. We weren't getting a very good crit rating from them. I mean, we were kind of on par with it, but all in all, though, when you look at the parse from a whole, we did 106,000 damage, like I said, which is low for this. Our elemental weapon did a lot of damage. Our crystal fragments did a lot of damage. Reliquin, between light attacks and Reliquin, we are looking at like 19,000 damage just from those two abilities right there. So, or that from light attacking and that gear set. Our Blockade of Fire did really well for us. Our Tormentor did good. We had our Burning and our Zaun right next to each other. Hurricane right here. Our Concussion is right below our Volatile Familiar. When you add both sets of what the Volatile Familiar does, it's 8,800. So, I mean, everything we got going on right here when it comes to the damage output is really, really good. Now, we go back one. This is... Which one was this? This is the same one right here. The same setup, 107. Is this the same setup again? Hold on. Let's look and see. Yeah. See, this is the perfected Besides the Reliquins. Yeah, so this one 110. We got better crits on our crystal fragments. Our Arms of Reliquin did very well. Our blockade did well. Our Zon did well. Our burning did well. Concussion did well. So like when we this particular setup, you just seen it at 106. There's 107 before that. It was 110 right here. Here is 109, which is okay. So this is I did 109 right here, but this was with the Besides on the weapons and jewelry, and then I had the Highland Sentinel on for the critical strike rating, and you'll see this performed very well. The Highland Sentinel's a really good set. It just requires you to stay still the whole time. Now let's see here. This one was Highland Sentinel with Besides as well, and it was only 101. I don't know what happened there. That was a weak one. What did I change there? I don't remember. Here is 102 using Besides Highland Sentinel again. Oh, you know what? These are the ones where these are the ones where I was just doing a crystal fragment spam. There was no elemental weapon. So yeah, if you're just doing a crystal fragment spam where you don't want to do the elemental weapon, you can still hit over 100k with this build. This here was a crystal fragment spam, I do believe, with Sioria on with Besides. It was 94k. Here is 102k with Besides and Sioria. And this one I do believe was, this was an elemental weapon spam, the same rotation I just showed you with Sioria and Besides. Here was 111k. This was Highland Sentinel and Depths. Depths performs very well also in this situation. Highland Sentinel on the body, Depths on the weapons and jewelry. So a lot of different combinations right there. We went over some of the different combinations we can go over. They all hit relatively the same. They're all within, a couple K of each other. If we continued to parse with all of them, I think you'd see them average out all really, really close to each other, to the 108, 109K range on average. I would believe, to be honest with you. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. If anyone is interested, we're still gonna try to do the kick stuff over there with the running live feeds for people to try different things out that they'd like to try, since I have the ability to do so because I have access to the PTS. So a lot of people on console don't, so some people might want something tried and not have the ability to do so, or not want to wreck their mats in the process of trying and then find out it wasn't worth it. So it's a service that I'm offering to provide just anybody who would be willing to give me a follow over on Kick, I will definitely do that over there for people. The screen name over there is the underscore Beav, BEAV 01. And find me on there, and we'll definitely go over some things you might be interested in checking out. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it greatly. If you like the content, please give me a like and subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing and awesome and wonderful, and you'd be super cool for doing so. But if not, continue to watch and let me help you out regardless. But once again, thank you very much for everything. Appreciate it greatly, and happy adventuring.